Dak Prescott signs a record-breaking deal staying in Dallas for the next 4 seasons, yet Jordan McNamara, my co-host, cannot move him up in his Dynasty rankings. That is not possible. Welcome to the Football Guys Dynasty Show. I'm your host, Chad Parsons. He's Jordan McNamara, and we're already getting some big-time news with franchise tags, free agency to follow, players that are cut. But we have to start, Jordan, with Dak Prescott, 4 years, $160 million, actually possibility to make more than that, staying with the Dallas Cowboys as expected in some form. But yet, your Football Guys Dynasty rankings, there is no ceiling that he can move up because he was already so high for you.
He's a quarterback 2 before this. He's a quarterback 2 now, and I feel really good about it. And you just can't. This is ideal. This is exactly what we wanted. This is exactly what we're rooting for. I wasn't sure it was going to happen. I've heard conflicting reports this week, but this is a great situation for him. It's a great situation for Amari Cooper, for CeeDee Lamb, for Ezekiel Elliott, the whole offense. I think it's a big time situation, and honestly, it's good for the NFL because that was fun last year. I mean, Dak Prescott last year was a must watch, and he's a player that I was very high on last year. I was excited to have him on my teams. I was excited to have him at quarterback 2 in my rankings last year, and I've never really moved him. I think that you could really, between him and Deshaun Watson is basically it's almost a distinction without a difference. I could take exactly the opposite side and feel fine with it. I don't have much of debate there, but I think the debate stops at between those two guys at 2 and 3. And then from there on, it's another tier. So that's kind of where I'm at with Dak, and have been there all along. Feel good that he's a player that I really like too. I enjoy watching him. I enjoy, some of the, his personal stuff that he shared as well. So that's all been good. I think when they're good, it's good for the NFL. It's just a good day all around. It's a player I'm really happy that they got under contract and paid him.
Yep. In adjusted points per game, he's got 3 top 6 seasons. And as we said before, do it once, still some skepticism. Do it twice, you're earning my love. And do it 3 times or more, you're in the circle of trust. So he is definitely there. And he's been top 13 every season. So, I mean, he's been there, done that. I mean, there's some guys that might be viewed similarly in Dynasty that have done it once. They might have had 1 season inside the top 13, and yet here they are, brushing shoulders with Dak Prescott. So and I still think, that Ezekiel Elliott, his stock, for example, isn't going to massively rise with this news. Amari Cooper is one of those tarnished profiles in Dynasty that folks are just scorned. He's been top 36 adjusted points per game every season. I don't know, I guess you got to be wide receiver 1 a few times, and then you'll get by 27, you'll get the respect, right? You won't be a Rodney Dangerfield anymore. So I feel like with Dak Prescott, the profile, he's shown, the start of last season and various points, the defense, they're going to try to get it better. But this is a team that can throw for 5,000 yards. They were on pace for that easily last year. They've got probably the best trio of wide receivers in the NFL that they were all humming along. Amari Cooper was wide receiver 1 or 2 during Dak healthy. We saw the difference between the other quarterbacks. Michael Gallup is one of the most underappreciated wide receivers. And part of that is CeeDee Lamb. If CeeDee Lamb were not drafted, Michael Gallup's dynasty value would be different, in my opinion. He was on a great track. They draft CeeDee Lamb. Gallup still produces, and all of a sudden, let's drop him way, way, way down. I kind of get that, maybe from a long-term, who's going to be in Dallas longer lens. But, no tight end presence. We'll see about Blake Jarwin coming back, but 3 wide receivers, Zeke Elliott. I still feel like with Cooper and Zeke, there's the potential to get some still buy lows and depressed discounted values and profiles here from now into week 1, just because they're locked in. And now you've got Dak, with no question marks now, where if they've gone down that franchise tag path, we know that doesn't lead to good places either for the team or for the player. Now that he's locked in, and he'll be another free agent at a critical prime window moment, in a few years to reset the market probably again.
Yeah, I was a free agent at 32, and I'll be honest, it wasn't nearly the buying market that it would be for Dak Prescott. So, and I I didn't have the franchise tag canceled out either. So I gotta.
He was a day 3 pick though. You were a little UDFA. You know, it's a little the sliding scale. You were the try hard UDFA. You're changing positions just like Julian Edelman.
True, it's true.
So a lot of moving pieces there. And some would say, you know, if anyone knows the two of us and knows our affinity for certain players, some might say we buried the lead. Because Dak Prescott was expected to be back in Dallas.
Yeah,
this is a good day. You know, equity of player 2020 rookie shares is Aaron Jones. That there was some question mark. I just did not think they were going to be able to stomach the cap number. You know, the fact that they drafted AJ Dillon last year, the fact that they probably already gave him their best offer, whatever that was. You know, maybe it was Washington and Kirk Cousins they know, the camp of the player knows we can do better. You know, we will be able to do better, whether that was January 1 or October or July. They knew that they would be able to get more than whatever number. And so now we've got Aaron Jones not tagged, and that makes it even less likely. You know, you've heard various reports that, Green Bay's still trying to work a deal. I say hogwash. Like, he's going to be now more expensive and for multiple seasons. So I don't think that's really in the cards. Yes, Green Bay is going to add a running back. They have to. You got to have 3 in the room minimum, you know, so something's going to occur with that. But right now, the only signed and under contract running back, you know, of note for Green Bay is AJ Dillon. And we saw what he could do in a small sample size. This is a complete, we talked about, you know, guys in the past like James Conner. This is a high variance play, right? If AJ Dillon gets the job for a cross section of the year, week 1 this year, etc., the upside is massive. And that's what we always talk about, especially with day 2 or round 2 rookie draft running backs. Round 3, every once in a while, you get looks like this, but really it's round 2. And so this is the kind of high variance thing. And yet a lot of the dialogue I've seen on Twitter is this is a great time to sell AJ Dillon. What are your kind of thoughts right now in terms of we are in the marketplace of having a lot of exposure to AJ Dillon from our rookie drafting? Is this the moment to sell, or is this the moment to be patient or be super aggressive if someone comes to you knocking and saying, what do you want for him?
You better back up the Brinks truck, is what I would say. I'll say the thing, just to start on the Aaron Jones thing for a second, because you know, I had my watch out and was sitting up until 4 o'clock at the deadline, just like searching Twitter and getting ready, and just because I was like, this is going to come down to the minute. And we didn't get one of these leaked reports like
launch codes. Get your launch code just sitting right there with your key.
Yeah, just do a little. Then I did a little shimmy. Yeah, I'll say with that Aaron Jones, hey, we're trying to still sign him thing. That's about as believable as you know, Baker Mayfield's UFO thing. I mean, I'm not buying that, because if you were like, if that made any sense at all, the number that Aaron Jones was reportedly looking for was like $10 million, right? $10 million a year, like something in the 4 for 40 range, something like that. The franchise tag was 11.1. The transition tag is 8.9. They didn't offer him. They didn't want to do that. Right? They didn't want to offer him $11 million for 1 year. Why would they multiply that times 4? It makes zero.
They're low in cap. They're low in cap this year. There are moves to be made. So, correct. I mean, I don't know what the Saints are doing, for example, but I mean, they're still wheeling, dealing, and making moves. But Green Bay, again, is running back really when you got a round 2 guy in the room. I mean, under a rookie deal for the next 3 years. It just really doesn't make a lot of sense. So that's why it wasn't passing the sniff test to me. And, you know, we both look at things like survivorship or competition rates. So if you're looking ahead to the NFL draft, the odds are like 8, 9, 10%, you know, that they're going to draft someone in the second round or first. It's so low odds. And when you say, well, they drafted this workhorse, I mean, to say that, oh, he doesn't have a resume to do this, he was the Boston College offense. Mm-hmm. I mean, any of the years, who's their quarterback? It's a trick question. They didn't have one. So who's the last relevant wide receiver for Boston College? Actually, Doug Flutie might have been the most relevant quarterback.
Matt Ryan.
Matt Ryan. There you go. Yeah. So almost 20 years ago, we got 12 years ago, we got Matt Ryan. That's a good call. Good pull. Yeah. So the point is, he was built to do this, which is cold weather games, November, December, January, and having 20 plus touches. He's been doing that for a while. Boston College, I heard it gets cold. So the point is, I feel like they have someone, they had a plan, they drafted him in the second round, they used him sparsely when they needed to last year, and now he's ready to roll. And they're going to bring somebody in. Do they bring Jamal Williams back? But I think it's going to take a lot for him not to be a high redraft pick and projected for a week 1 high 1A minimum role. It's going to be hard not to project that with something they're going to do in the next 3 to 5 months.
Yeah, I don't see them in the free agent market. They planned for this day. Isn't that what they did? They planned for this day. They planned ahead. This is a franchise that has consistently tried to play the long game. They played the long game with Aaron Rodgers. They played the long game here, and took a bunch of criticism for it, because that they didn't do the Tom Brady Tampa Bay angle of push everything in, and so that we're sitting here today shouldn't be surprising, in all honesty. So if you're moving your values on him, I would say I think the market was here already, and I was almost to a point where I thought that this was going to happen, and I was looking at some of the implied hit rates for AJ Dillon. I've got him in real draft position. We've got him at 21, and running back 21. And that implies about a 61% hit rate in the future. And that's essentially baking in that Aaron Jones was leaving. I mean, that's essentially what it said. And I wasn't sure I was that comfortable. I thought that there was still a chance that Aaron Jones would come back. He sort of gets up to that point, and it gets real uncomfortable when Aaron Jones signs 3 for 30 or something to that effect, or they tag him, and it makes it a tough year. So this is he has sat here. The question is now, what's he going to do in terms of movement? I think he's going to go up. The question is how much, and really he's going to bump up into some quick resistance. I mean, him or Aaron Jones, him or David Montgomery is just above him or Austin Eckler, him or Joe Mixon, I think is an interesting debate. Miles Sanders is there ahead of him too. Then you get Clyde Edwards-Helaire, James Robinson. So I think that his value is going to go up. The question that I would have is, I think he's going to bump into real resistance, getting up much higher than where he is, just in terms of some of the names up there. Let me ask you this, just in terms of just a couple of numbers here. We think 1,400 yards, 12 touchdowns, and 40 receptions as a just a ballpark.
If
figure.
he's the starter, yeah.
Yeah. What do you think about that?
I think he could go maybe slightly under the receptions. I think obviously he has touchdown upsides beyond that. I think the yards are probably, I think that's a robust, nice figure. Yeah. So I think that's pretty close, all things considered.
Why is he going 4 rounds cheaper than J.K. Dobbins? Right? Isn't that what you would reasonably expect for J.K. Dobbins? I mean, 40 receptions out of that,
sure.
Out of him is probably a ceiling. 14. Yeah, I sort of look at that, and I just say, when you're comparing profiles, there's no difference to me. There's very, very little difference. They're going to be round 2 starting running backs, assuming they don't bring in competition, which I have a hard time seeing how they're going to bring in someone that's better than AJ Dillon. And when they just let one walk out the door and there's no one else in house. I mean, and you and I love Jamal Williams as much as anybody, and AJ Dillon's better than him. And this is what they drafted for. This was the play, and they did the right thing. And this is the thing that analytics has gone for a while. You use 4 years of a rookie contract, and then you let him walk, and then you replace him with someone really cheap. And that's how you massage your cap. You keep a really low cap because you're constantly on rookie deals. This isn't a new theory. This is sometime we've actually seen it work. I've seen it actually play out.
And look at what Green Bay did. I mean, if you talk about the last 3 to 4 seasons, I mean, they drafted Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams both on day 3 in the same class. Right. And they pretty much had that. Let's roll it back. Let's roll it back. Let's roll it back. Now they quote unquote splurged, right? They still spent on day 2, not round 1. And they have 4 years now, three remaining for AJ Dillon, and maybe they draft a round 3 guy, if they like, in the ilk of one of those 2 other guys this year. And now they've got, multiple players on multiple year windows on rookie contracts, and if they produce a la Aaron Jones, they're going to go out there. They're going to get paid in that second deal at 24, 25, 26 years old. So, I agree with what you're saying, that there is some resistance there in the dynasty rankings. Now, that's largely going to go out the window if he runs 120 yards and 2 touchdowns in week 1. Like we know how in season works, and the more we're on this rodeo ride, you can kind of see where he might get viewed as a top 7 or 8 dynasty back. I mean, that's possible. You get in season and you're like, well, this guy's getting this workload every week. I mean, the Packers are one of the best offenses in the league, and he's getting exclusive goal line work. He doesn't exactly have Lamar Jackson, in that backfield with him. He doesn't exactly have Cam Newton in his prime in that backfield that's partitioning off scoring opportunities. Like he may get a lot of looks, like touchdowns alone. And something I was thinking about is, think of how does Josh Jacobs score, right? High volume, plenty of touchdown opportunities there, and we still want more in the passing game. I think that's similar to what we could see from AJ Dillon, right? Maybe not as many receptions as ideal. Today's NFL, Christian McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara, but the high likelihood, and heck, you're probably going to see more positive game scripts though from Green Bay, that he's going to have easier access, or that run game if they so choose. And we actually saw that one game, just they can bludgeon people in the fourth quarter. So I think that's going to be in play, but maybe that roadmap, and like you were saying, 10 plus, 12 plus touchdowns, but 40, 30 receptions, something like that. Not that he can't catch the ball. He actually has a couple examples last season of doing that very well in space, looking pretty natural, doing it just because he wasn't highly active at Boston College. I thought it was interesting because one little litmus test I wanted to put out today on Twitter was, where would you rank AJ Dillon compared to the 2021 running backs in the rookie class? And 47% said that they would put him running back 4 or beyond. So that would be behind.
That's madness, right?
Yes, and I was going to have you weigh in on just the level of said madness. So you have Najee Harris, you have Travis Etienne, you have Javonte Williams as the general consensus, quote unquote, big 3. It's not even, I don't view that as a big 3, but it's more of a big 2. And then Javonte Williams is like, hey guys, can I come in and play in your treehouse? So, but I thought it was interesting that only 10% had him as running back 1, only 14% had him as running back 2. And then 28% at running back 3. So you're talking about a quarter of people have him at running back 1 or 2 of the class. Now, it's not that AJ Dillon had a big rookie year, but what do we know, right? So you would always go to, what do we know? Well, he's not a round 1 pedigree guy. So Najee Harris over there, shout out to Grinding the Mocks. It has Najee Harris in round 1 right now. I think in the top 25 of expected draft position. So if there is one, right now, it's looking like Najee Harris is the best bet for that. So if we get a round 1 running back, do you think having AJ Dillon ahead of said round 1 running back, what do your spidey senses say about that?
I think you take the round 1 running back over him, and I think the market would do that. If they're round 2, I don't see on paper. I mean, you have tuned in a little bit more to this than I have. But I don't see on paper how Najee Harris is a better player than AJ Dillon. I think the argument for AJ Dillon at running back 1 is a lot better than the argument for AJ Dillon at running back 4. Right. So that would sort of be where that would be my position on the matter. And if you look at it, I mean, he is younger than Najee Harris. If we gave him a year at Alabama and said, hey, AJ Dillon, go run wild last year, instead of backing up in Green Bay and being a day 2 pick, go run wild at Alabama, what do you think would have happened? What do you think would have happened if we put Alexander Mattison this past year, who, again, is younger than Najee Harris, 2 years into his NFL career? What do you think would have happened if we put him in an Alabama offense, right? So when you adjust for these things, when you adjust for age, again, Alabama's kind of a tough situation to really use comps for, because they're just so different in terms of when guys are getting opportunities, and it's a pipeline and you got to wait. But I don't see this great argument for how Najee Harris is so much better. That would be sort of my initial thought. And I mean, people saying that, like, let's be real honest about something for a second. AJ Dillon is a LeBron James caliber athlete. Okay, if the two of them duked it out in a combine, AJ Dillon would win. Okay, LeBron James is one of the freakiest athletes of all time, and AJ Dillon's a better athlete than him. Okay, let's be honest about this. And just because he weighs 240 pounds doesn't mean he's a fullback. And so
he's a unicorn, and I think people have a hard time getting around the unicorn status, right? I mean, what I've always said is, as a prospect, and this was 12 months ago, I said this is the closest thing that we have had since, and maybe for another few years, to Derrick Henry. If you're looking for someone like that as a profile, just in terms of you don't see guys that are actual running backs this big move this well. And I actually think laterally and in a few other facets that AJ Dillon moves better. That, Derrick Henry is a load. And when he gets up, if you don't stop him in the first 3 yards, when the feet stop, the play stop. But if you don't stop him, he's going to take you for a ride. You better have 2 tickets at the carnival. AJ Dillon can actually have a little more nuance than that. And I think both of them have very good, for their size, long, I can actually take it to the house speed. So that's the exciting part. And we see Derrick Henry again. I think like Adrian Peterson, you see guys like this not really optimized as a receiver. And part of that is because a lot of times as a receiver, you're going out and you don't have that run up, that 5 to 7 yards behind the line of scrimmage to pick up speed, and that's why I think you struggle. The bigger backs generally as a pass catcher is that you have to, you're used to build up. You're used to having that runway. And Derrick Henry, not to turn this into, discussing him, but again, the closest thing to him as a prospect, size and movement wise, but Dillon has a little better first 2 steps, get up and go, from a dead stop if he ends up being in the flat and he's an outlet receiver, than Derrick Henry. That's where you can actually exploit him and get your hands on him. Multiple defenders can get in that area, in that radius, and have a much better shot. So I would say there's qualities that AJ Dillon is better, than Derrick Henry as a prospect and coming in. We'll see. It took Henry a while to get that lead job, but now he's running with it. And obviously AJ Dillon looks to have an earlier opportunity like that. And I actually saw one trade today. I'm sure there's been a few others, but it was 110 and AJ Dillon for 104, moving up this year. And so we just talked about how if you don't, I have him firmly, at running back 3 or even 2 of this class. And like you said, you have a round 1 guy ahead of him. And historically, that is a very good bet if someone does go round 1 of this 21 class. But moving up from 10 to 4, that is not how you move up. You don't use AJ Dillon, who is worth, probably 104 side, is too great with that. So to me, and just to kind of close the book, said it a few minutes ago, but he's not a runaway. This isn't a sell high. Like a sell high, like I said, would be a top 10 sort of dynasty running back valuation at present. If someone wants to go in that, because you have to sell if he's the starter this year, there are dynasty season changing possibilities with him where he was on your bench. He might have been on your taxi squad last year. You got basically nothing predictable. His big game wasn't even predictable. So you pretty much got nothing. It was a red shirt for you. You got a little sampling, a little taste. And now here you are, you have James Conner, like a guy that you might be rolling out perpetually, this year over and over and over again. And this is the type of thing that now, if he's your found money running back 3, that changes your outlook. That changes the calculus of how good of a team am I? Possibilities. And so to move up in your draft and you're not moving like to 1, like to use AJ Dillon to move up in your rookie draft and you're not moving to 1 is something that have a lot of pause and selling now and thinking, just because there's a difference between selling more than you paid. So, I paid 204 for AJ Dillon. Well, congratulations. You now have equity, but that doesn't mean right now you go, well, now I can get 110 for him in a future second. That doesn't mean you run and take that auto accept, because you just have hit big. You have the possibility to hit even bigger. And so to run from that and be early, be out in front of this marketplace, I think we're both saying the same thing, which is you're running away from what? What are you running away from? Green Bay using a day 2 running back pick, them signing a notable, there's not many running backs that would be signed that would actually scare you. That would move you off of this. I think AJ Dillon can get 300 touches this year. So just be careful about I'm getting ahead of the market part.
Yeah. Was that super flex or was that start 1 on that?
I think it was, I don't want to misquote. Does it matter?
It better have been super flex to even be.
It better have been super to even be a conversation. Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah. I'll say the other thing too about people are sort of ragging on the AJ Dillon, oh, he can't catch thing. I don't think that's very true either. Just because he didn't catch doesn't mean he can't. And just because that's not what they did doesn't mean he can't do it. And when you look at some of the advanced metrics, you go back and you look at things like yards per route run, 1.56 in his final year in college. Damn good. That's a damn good number. And someone like Clyde Edwards-Helaire would beg for that. You compare that to, I don't know, the best tight end in the class last year, and he beat it, right? So that's a damn good number. And so that would just be the thing that I would say about him is sleep on his receiving ability at your own peril. And and the ongoing joke we have about, hey, now they've got a fullback and no tailbacks. That is something that people actually believe. So and we're seeing some comments about it in here about how he couldn't basically hold Najee Harris. We'll see.
We will see indeed. So we've got Dynasty trades, and just to mention, we have quotes from the Shark Pool to finish out the show from the Dynasty Trades Forum. This is Chad Parsons, Jordan McNamara, episode 45 of the Football Guys Dynasty Show. Reminder to subscribe, rate, and review Football Guys on all of your podcasting platforms, and sign up for that Football Guys daily email update delivered from Joe Bryant, your daily guide to all your news and instant analysis at footballguys.com/free. Let's get to some Dynasty trades. Unfortunately, we don't have, I think we might have one Dak Prescott trade in here. We do, but no AJ Dillon trade. So let's start off with the Dak Prescott one, since he is forefront of our thoughts today. 16-teamer, so we get the added one quarterback value there, not super flex, but stock otherwise. We've got Dak Prescott, 116 and 203. So a couple picks there to upgrade to Derrick Henry. What do you think about selling Dak in a 16-teamer, but start one for that?
Yeah, that 16-team start one. That's an advantage to have a good quarterback, right? The late round quarterback. That's a place that's a hidden efficiency. Problem is that picks aren't particularly good. What's your take on this? Because I think the 16-team thing could change it depending on roster size and lineup and all that stuff. Do you think this is smash Henry or?
No, I actually don't. Because I know in a 16-teamer, a lot of them, they're not super shallow rosters. So you're able to stash typically, and this is a relatively stock lineup construction. So okay. I would actually say, so you're talking 16 overall, 19 overall, maybe it's 20 overall if they have a toilet bowl winner, consolidation put in there. And so I think if Dak Prescott was a major upgrade and you're okay at running back, I think this is a fine trade. I think, as you've said before, some of the hidden ways to improve your team is when you're already good, you get that quarterback upgrade. You get one of those guys that could finish top 2 or 3, right? So instead of just, I'm kind of fine, I have QB 10 or QB 12 or, and you're just kind of fine. This is a way to actually improve you by points per game per week. So, and I think at 16, 23, you're going to have options, so that extends the window at wide receiver, tight end a little bit. So I actually like the 3 pieces here because Derrick Henry, 27 years old this year. Is he on a 1 to 2 year window? Dak certainly is not. Those picks certainly are not. So I think this is a pretty forward thinking move as long as Dak was a major upgrade.
Yeah, no, I like that. And it's tough to get yourself to go from super flex to one quarterback, but to take the 16 team, it is a big difference in terms of what your replacement level is. It moves it a lot. So having a good quarterback in 16 team is absolutely a big deal. And there's only one that I like better than Dak Prescott. So yeah, I can get that. Yeah.
You can love Dak Prescott a ton, and Jordan, it's going to be tough for you to move him up. There's some guy named Patrick Mahomes up there that has something to say about it for the next while. Didn't you have a statement where you said he might be the 101 super flex for like 5 years running or something?
No, I said you should write it in pen for the next 5 years.
Just write it in pen for the next 5 years. Patrick Mahomes, 101 super flex, no matter what, like draft day. You just put that in there. Absolutely. All right, we've got a Saquon Barkley sell. So already we're perked up. Did you get enough? DeAndre Swift, Terry McLaurin, and now the newly hot and minted Irv Smith. Swift, Smith, and McLaurin for Barkley. Stock format, huh?
Irv Smith doesn't do much for me. You and I have talked about this. I will say I'm not the biggest Terry McLaurin fan. And I see some of the wisdom in trading and sort of getting out of Barkley right now. I'm not rushing, but if you're sort of looking to get 120, $1.20 on the dollar in return for Barkley right now, I think that's fine. I wouldn't sell for 80 cents, but if you can get him at full sticker price, I like what this person tried to do. I'm not sure it does it for me. If you change the names, if you took the names and switched them from, McLaurin to a different receiver sort of in that range, and you took Irv Smith and changed it to, I don't know, Dallas Goedert or someone else in a similar range as Irv Smith, I could probably do it. With these particular guys, I wouldn't, but I could see the wisdom in making a trade like this.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting to see. I mean, obviously, one team needs to have all these components, but I mean, could you got, Mike Evans, instead of Terry McLaurin or Amari Cooper, and I think that's what makes it a lot more optimal or beneficial for us. The been there, done that. And McLaurin, we keep saying, right? Oh, get the quarterback upgrade. Well, they also could get a wide receiver upgrade. That's or a tight end upgrade, big picture, or just more weapons. All these things are possible, and the quarterback upgrade actually, corresponding with these other things could hurt them. Yeah. So this to me isn't enough. I agree with you that Irv Smith doesn't really move the needle. Not saying he can't be a good player, but a lot of people have been saying it's got to be Kyle Rudolph out of there. Well, he's still got two good wide receivers too. So let's not pretend like competition for targets turned all the way tilting towards Irv Smith this year.
Where are you at on Swift right now?
I like him. Check my rankings here. I mean, I got him ahead of Dobbins, behind Zeke, running back 6'7". Yeah. So I guess I'm right at market, from what I see. So yeah, I guess we'll call him market neutral.
Okay. So you're not worried. So you're not worried about the Detroit offense stuff.
I don't really trust it, but what I would say is, I mean, he is an electric receiver. I think he could get funneled the ball. We saw that he was optimized, I think, in many ways, being used near the goal line, being used in the passing game. And I think that's enough. And if you're saying the team isn't very good, then I think that actually helps a guy that if he's going to be in there in the third, fourth quarter and they're down by 7 to 10 points, that helps DeAndre Swift. And I could definitely see him catching 90 plus balls this year. So I think
200 targets between him and Hockenson over under.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what they have right now. It certainly isn't going to Quintez Cephas. So, all right, we've got this. This is going to be Jordan choosing between kids. I really want to know your take on this one. So we've got Josh Jacobs. I'm listening. Kareem Hunt and 210 for Mike Evans 105 and 205. So key components are. We got just stock PPR. So we got Jacobs Hunt essentially for Evans and 105.
Boy. I love me some Jacobs and Mike Evans. And it's stock, huh?
105. Little upgrade there in the second round.
Yeah. Give me Jacobs side. Give me the Jacobs side. Because I think it's better than 105. Hunt and Mike Evans are probably close in terms of like a WARP projection. And the pick's not really that different. So yeah, I'd take the Jacobs side. So it would be nicer if you could get a different piece other than Hunt. It would be what I would say. It'd make me more warm and cuddly.
Okay. Yeah. When I first saw this one, I literally went back and forth a couple different times. And man, if that 105 turns out to be like, if you somehow get a look at Jamar Chase or something, so if you get two running backs ahead of him, maybe Kyle Pitts, and then you get somebody else at wide receiver. So if that happens, then man, I'm going to like that side quite a bit. But if that doesn't happen, then I think it becomes tighter. And like you said, I think right now, knowing the entire prism of what 105 would be, then I do think the Jacobs side is the smart and insulated side for now, for sure.
What's the chance Jamar Chase is available at 105 in stock?
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, based on what we know now,
less than 5% odds.
Yeah, maybe 10%, 15%. I don't know, but yeah, it's kind of separating, right? It seems like that spread between, Devonta Smith is going to be going high. Like a lot of that expected draft position, it's firmly kind of going towards Jamar Chase right now. If anything, Devonta Smith is more firmly as the wide receiver 2-3 than the clear wide receiver 1, which I think was the perception a couple of months ago. So, so that's the one thing, so how many guys are going to teardrop him? Could 105 be Kyle Pitts? So, I mean, again, there's still some ways that this works out, but Hunt is a pretty good piece, and Jacobs, of course, kind of locked in right now as the most stable asset of this entire deal, which neither of us, until then mentioned. Let's do one more. We've got CeeDee Lamb in 108. This is in stock, one quarterback FFPC. We've got CeeDee Lamb in 108 for 102, a first next year, and Noah Fant in the tight end 1.5 premium.
Sorry, I think you said it twice and I missed it. You said it is stock PPR?
Yes, that's gonna be the new drinking game. His Jordan is asking if it's super, because Superflex is so common. You're like, you're dragging me into this one quarterback world. So you're moving up from 108 to 102. You're getting a first next year, and you're getting Noah Fant to move off of CeeDee Lamb.
I'd do it.
Okay, yeah, I would too, because here would be my logic. So 8 to 2 is a massive difference.
Yeah,
2 gets you
difference.
Wide receiver 1. It gets you maybe a first round running back 2 if you want it. You get that first in your back pocket, even if things don't go your way. And Noah Fant is a really good profile to have stock and equity in for a premium format like FFPC, where you can ride with one tight end. You have possibilities to flex them. You can have just 2 on your roster or just 1. So I think he provides you a lot of flexibility there.
Yeah, I agree with that all across the board.
All right, let's rapid fire some quotes from the Footballguys Dynasty Forum this week in the Shark Pool. In Dynasty, almost anything goes. And he says, not everything. This is a reversible trade to me, and it's rare that I would reverse anything. It's too lopsided. What are your quick thoughts on vetoing, reversing trades, etc. in Dynasty?
Unless you can prove outright collusion, I think I don't think anything should be reversed.
Yep. Veto the owner. Don't veto don't veto the trade. All right.
And that's why you take, by the way, that's why you take deposits 2 years in advance, right? Take deposits when you start a league, take deposits for the first and second year, and then every year you're paying for the year in advance. That's how
everyone's excited when you start. And guess what? It's hard to collect deposits when the league is going, because now people will be like, well, I was planning on leaving maybe. Right. I think Noah Fant is a risk. Their quarterback sucks, and Cortland Sutton is back to go along with Jerry Jeudy and KJ Hamler.
I think Fant's pretty elite in the tight end position. And when you look at him and Hawkinson, I have a tough time breaking ties between them. The profiles look damn good. And you put basically in the 4 through 6 range, you put guys like Mark Andrews and Hawkinson and Fant together. I mean, that's a damn good range. So no, I like Fant quite a bit.
Yeah, round 1 tight ends are pretty bankable, and especially ones that are off to good starts where you might not have a little bit of Eric Ebron kind of question early on. David Njoku, for example, or OJ Howard. That is not the track that Noah Fant is currently on. All right, so we've got, this is around Michael Thomas. I know Michael Thomas was hurt all last year, but it feels like his time as elite is done. In September, Thomas will be 28 and a half years old. Nothing wrong with cashing out now for a couple firsts.
I think there's a lot wrong with that. I don't think you're getting a couple of firsts for him right now. And just because a wide receiver turns 28 doesn't mean you take him out like Old Yeller. I mean, just the guys, again, we'll see. Maybe it was a decline. I think the more likely outcome is that he was that he knew Drew Brees was probably going to retire, like he said, and he wanted to try and get a ring and knew that this year would probably be different and sort of tried to gut it out. And as a result, played pretty bad because he was playing on one leg. Do you take the guy that for the first 4 years of his career looked like a first ballot Hall of Famer, or do you take the guy that was playing on a leg he couldn't really walk on? Which one is it? Which profile do we think it actually is? I'll go with the one.
Yeah. Do you believe the 4-year sample or the 1 year sample?
Yeah. Give me you know what? I really, really want to wait the 10-week sample because it's the most recent thing in my brain. I mean, that's a pretty easy thing to fade for me.
Yep. Jarvis Landry will not be a sexy fantasy name, but getting him as my wide receiver 3 or 4 is the kind of boring but productive player I am happy to give up a future second for. Did you just find a new best friend?
I gave everything until I loved everything about it
okay.
until I heard the future second. I hate giving away future picks, so try and do it any other way but that.
A proxy.
Yes,
a proxy, a flip player that's the future second. Okay.
absolutely.
I got
I
you.
love that.
But he is right. He's an
pretty big.
unsexy guy that you can just plug in those deeper lineups as your wide receiver 3, 4. He's there when you need him. And yeah, I mean, he checks the box, and just goes through, gets the targets, gets the production. He's been doing it for quite a while.
Last year was a floor. Yeah, last year was a floor.
Yep. Last one. I have had absolutely no luck getting anywhere near equal value for Josh Jacobs. I just don't think people trust him for some reason. He gets plenty of touches and scores touchdowns. I am not sure why everyone is so down on him.
I'm not sure why you're trying to trade him.
Did you write this except for the beginning sentence?
Why are you trying to trade him?
Hot potato.
That's why that would be my question.
I gotta get out. I gotta get out of the Josh Jacobs business. One of my first moves last year, I took over an orphan, and one of the first things I did was I had 3, 4, 5 players where I was like, I gotta make the team my own. One of the first things I did, I said, let me get a cornerstone guy. I traded a couple pieces or whatever, and I got Josh Jacobs. I was like, and I just sat back and I feel a little better about my core 4 or 5 opening players. I was like, let me get myself a little Josh Jacobs. I got some rookie picks coming, but that was like one of the things. Let me get a round 1 guy that has a little depressed value here. And he's another one, right? It seems like there's about 5 to 10 players quizzically. If you look at them on paper, you would say, I cannot believe that these are the players who have a depressed value and sort of a stink around their dynasty stock this offseason.
Yeah, him, Zeke,
Michael Thomas, Evans, Amari Cooper.
Evans, yeah, it's all these guys. They're like going to fantasy football, up on walls of honor and fantasy football Hall of Fames. Everyone's like, I don't know. He's like 25. Like, who really cares anymore? It's like, all right, like, we'll just rack that up.
Let's bank Miles Sanders over and over. Let's bank it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and it's funny. You get like 2 years into David Montgomery, he's running back 6, and everyone's like, oh yeah, like he's got to go running back 20, and Miles Sanders is better than him. I don't know. We can't take success, right? I mean, that's kind of what it boils down to. Is we just can't. We just can't.
Right? We keep tinkering. Yeah. That's sort of the thing, right? It's almost getting cutesy, right? It's pretty roster syndrome combined with, well, I need to be doing something, which is who's going to be the hot guy this year. I already had the hot guy in December. David Montgomery helped me win last year, but that was last year. Mm-hmm. So now, how am I going to pivot out of this albatross that's 24 years old? I gotta find my way out of this scenario. I feel like what is it? I'm in a phone booth of my own emotions. I have to make a move here. So that's exactly what it feels like. But what that does is that means you're chasing the true dynasty wide receiver 1 in season, and you just keep making trades every week because you're on the wrong side. You keep adding pluses to Justin Jefferson to get to DK Metcalf to get to to get to CD Lamb, then to get to somebody else.
Back to Justin Jefferson.
To get back to scraping your way, trying desperately to get Justin Jefferson back 3 weeks later. You're like, no, I made a mistake. Exactly. Boy, it's almost like we're playing DFS. We're trying though. Dynasty is the opposite of DFS. We're trying. Yeah. All right. Man, busy show, fun show. And you know what? Next week and the week after with NFL free agency upon us is going to be even, we may have breaking news, as we record next week, because we're going to be knee deep in it. I'm sure we'll have a few more announcements to analyze, like a la Dak Prescott, and some of these tags or non-tags as we did this week. We also discussed a bevy of dynasty trading. We talked about profiles as we typically do. Saquon Barkley was also a fixture point. Dak Prescott, Derrick Henry, A.J. Dillon, C.D. Lamb, and others. So again, this is a big point about dynasty trading, playing the marketplace, and from now till the NFL draft is also another point with NFL free agency to explore the marketplace and be looking for profile acquisition. I am Chad Parsons. He is Jordan McNamara. And until next time, good luck in your dynasty leagues.